Welcome to the Citrus County Chronicle Candidate Forum. My name is John Murphy, and I'm the Director of Digital Strategies for the Citrus County Chronicle. You know, for more than 130 years, the Chronicle has had the absolute privilege to bring to you covering stories and issues that matter to you and our community most. And for the past 40 years, we've been doing events just like this, giving our readers, giving our viewers the opportunity to hear directly from candidates, those folks that are seeking public office. So tonight, we have candidates that will be seeking the office of State Representative District 23, and we have two challengers in this race. The incumbent was term limited out. That was Representative Masulo. So we have two new folks that are gracing our stage here today. We've got J.J. Grow, and we have Judith Vowels. And so how this will work here tonight is we will have members of our editorial board of the Citrus County Chronicle ask a series of questions, and they'll cover a variety of topics. And each candidate will have 2 minutes to respond to those questions. And then after the question period, each candidate will receive 2 minutes for closing statements. So for the candidates, just to give you guys some direction, we will have a timekeeper in the front row that will have a 30-second sign waving so that you know when you have about 30 seconds left, and then a stop sign to get you guys to, keep it going. So with that, I will call up editorial board member Kurt Ebbets to begin with the questions. Kurt.
Good afternoon, candidates, and welcome.
Good afternoon.
I will be asking you about 5 questions, and I'll begin with ladies first. And I'll alternate back and forth.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Vowels, Florida is currently experiencing sea level rise, unprecedented heat waves, and severe storms. What kind of climate policies would benefit Florida and its residents?
Well, because Florida, as we just know, that we just had this storm that passed through Florida, that we need to take a very good look at what policy we have in place now to deal with the sea level, especially along the coastline, which we have to deal with here is in Crystal River. So I will want to introduce policies that will have prevention. How could we prevent all this water or seawater surge or whatever that's causing all this flooding, especially in Crystal River, is to find out if we can build something like a wall that can stop the water surge. If we can find some way to, when we do have flooding, how to remove the water more quickly from the area. As a state representative, we just have to look at whatever policy is going to fit well for Citrus County to deal with this rising sea level situation that we have here in Citrus County. So it's just prevention that I would be looking at policies that will deal with that.
Mr. Grow, I'll restate the question for you also. Florida is currently experiencing sea level rise, unprecedented heat waves, and severe storms. What kinds of state climate policies would benefit Florida and its residents?
Thank you. The legislature over the last couple of sessions has looked a lot at resiliency in the state of Florida as it pertains to sea level rise. I think we have to continue to follow the science. I know the University of Florida is doing a lot of work. I know the U.S. Department of Agriculture, along with the Florida Department of Agriculture, is looking at it as well. One of the things that we've been able to do is rebuild our seabeds offshore to help eliminate a little bit of the issue with the sea level rise. It's not something that's going to overtake us here in the next couple of years, but it's definitely something that we have to keep an eye on. We need to make sure that whatever we do from a legislative standpoint, that we're managing it with science and that we don't let fear rule the day. We need to make sure that we're approaching this from a scientific standpoint to make sure we're putting legislation in place. But the big thing we need to do is make sure that we have federal dollars and state dollars to do that research to make sure we come with the right answers to help solve the problem.
Mr. Grow, I'm going to toss the next question your way. What specific steps would you support to decrease the burden of the increased costs of homeowners insurance for Floridians?
Homeowners insurance, the way I've been describing it as I've been out talking with folks, The insurance market in the state of Florida is like a bad neighborhood that insurance companies don't want to live in. The legislature have done a lot of things over the last couple of sessions. One is they've made sure that some of the crazy litigation that takes place in our state is being eliminated. They've made those steps. The other things that they've done is they've provided money in My Safe Florida Home to harden homes so insurance companies can look at those homes and reassess what the cost of that insurance would be. The other thing that they continue to do is to look at making sure the insurance companies are providing the data to the state of Florida. Insurance companies would claim that that data was proprietary, and then the state of Florida wouldn't be able to see what was going on when those policies actually had a claim and whether those claims were being paid. The other thing that we've done in the legislature, and I think we need to continue doing, is working on the reinsurance market. A lot of people don't realize, but insurance companies actually buy insurance to cover themselves. So the reinsurance market has gotten better. We've had a couple of insurance companies, including State Farm, who've agreed that they're going to come back heavily in the state. I'm hoping that the hurricane we just recently suffered is not something that's going to prevent that. But we got to continue looking for ways, A, to get rid of litigation, to harden our homes, and to make sure that our families are safe, and that we have insurance options that we can afford.
Thank you. Ms. Vowels, would you like me to repeat the question?
Yes, please.
What specific steps would you support to decrease the burden of the increased cost of homeowners insurance for Floridians?
That has been an issue that I've been addressing with a lot of the citizens here in Citrus County because of the unaffordable in homeowner insurance, that some people are opting out not to have insurance on their home, which is not a good thing for our citizens to deal with not having coverage. Because of this recent hurricane, of course, we know that those people are going to be suffer some significant loss to their home. What I did like what the legislature did was that My Safe Home program. What I want to see is that we continue to fund that program to make sure that the homeowners have access to it. I know we did do it, this is last legislative session, and they ran out of money, and then they had to invest some more funds in there. That's a good program, and we need to make sure that it's continually to be funded. Also, in reference to the home insurance market, and we know we have invited homeowner insurance back into the state of Florida, and they have been providing insurance, but are they giving us the citizen quality insurance? And that's one of the things I want to look at to make sure that the insurance that people are getting are quality coverage that they need for their home. For instance, I'm looking at my insurance policy, and to have a $28,000 deduction for a sinkhole, I think it's absolutely ridiculous. So I know wind is one of the biggest issue that we have because of hurricane, but also people have, flood insurance is a separate market. So we want to be able to address this to make sure it is affordable for our citizen of Citrus County, for the state of Florida, by asking these insurance company not to continue to increase their rate. We need to have someone to tell them, no, we can't afford any more increase right now.
Thank you. Ms. Vowels, I'm going to have you first at bat for the next question. The Florida legislature has repeatedly declined to expand Medicaid to cover more low-income people. Would you support Medicaid expansion?
Yes, definitely. One of the reasons for that, we have like 33% of people in the state of Florida that's below the poverty level. And without the insurance that they need to take care of their children, we're going to put these people's life at risk because they don't have any coverage for their children. We're going to put the elderly at risk because they do not have funding to go to see the doctor or preventative care. Yes, I will definitely support some expansion because if the federal government is giving us that money, we need to take it for our citizens of Florida.
Thank you. Mr. Grove, would you like me to repeat the question?
No, sir, I've got it. I would not support increasing the Medicaid for a couple of reasons. One, children are covered. Elderly are covered, and people who are handicapped and unable to work are covered. The folks that aren't covered are the people who actually have good arms, good legs, and can actually get out and work. and afford to pay for insurance. So what the state of Florida has been doing is they've been using that money to reinforce, to make sure that the children in the state of Florida who need that insurance and the families who need the insurance because they can't work or they have a handicap situation and they're unable to work, that they continue to be covered. You know, it's nice that the federal government has money, but we all pay federal taxes. I don't believe that we should be spending that money on people who can get out, work, and get insurance.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Groh, I'm going to start the next round with you. What does constituent services mean to you, and what measures might best indicate that you are serving your constituents' needs?
So constituent services means being connected with your community. You know, I tell people all the time, I get elected here in the district, and that's the way it's supposed to work. But in order for me to be effective in Tallahassee, I have to have relationships, and that means I'm up there working on behalf of my constituents. I'm doing the things that my constituents need. I'm working hard on their behalf and not on someone else's. And then I'm not in Tallahassee, I'm gonna be here in the district. I'm gonna be involved, like my wife Jen and I have always been, in all the charities, all the foundations, making sure we're out in our community. As a member of the Chamber of Commerce, you know, I want to attend those meetings. I want to understand what businesses are saying, because as I represent them in Tallahassee, I need to know what's going on. My goal is not to go to Tallahassee and sit in an office or be on the floor of the Florida House and decide what I want to do. My goal is to come back to my constituents and say, here are the issues that we're looking at. What are your thoughts? And if it's banking, I call my friends in banking. If it's construction, I call my friends in construction. If it's doctors, I call my friends who are doctors. I want to hear what my constituents say, and that's how I'll decide how I vote in Tallahassee.
Thank you. Ms. Vowels, would you like me to repeat the question?
As an elected official, and as he was just stating, our first responsibility is to our constituents, the people that elected us. What have happened sometimes to people that are elected and go to Tallahassee or probably Washington, that lobbyists or a special interest group get a hold of them. They contribute money to their campaigns, to their interests, is somehow becomes more important than the constituents. I am vowing that that's not going to happen. So one of the problems that we have right now is what the insurance company is doing, is that they contribute all this money to the elected officials, and they are beholden now to the insurance company rather than to the constituents. So what I want to do, and I vow, is to make sure that my first commitment and my first job is to the people here in Citrus County, to the state of Florida, and what is best for the citizen here in the state of Florida. We're not going to be, well, I don't plan to be bought out by any company, any special interest group, and I need to do whatever it needs to be done to make sure that I'm making the best decision for the people of Citrus County. I plan to come back and talk to the people, be involved in the community, like I did a couple of days ago, that I went back into Crystal River and checked with those people that signed my petition to put me on the ballot. They were actually surprised to see that I came back. I said, I don't live in Crystal River, but I know what happened. And I'm here to let you know if you need any assistance, please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you. And last question, and I'll begin with you, Ms. Vowels, is recent legislatures have increased mandates on local government, commonly known as preemption. How do you feel about that?
Well, one of the things about when the legislature make laws that affect local community and like say, for instance, the commissioner or the school board, and they don't have the funding to carry out those mandates, it makes it very difficult for them to proceed. And not only that, these mandates that come down, sometimes it's hard for them to interpret what the state legislature intended it to be. So one of the things that I've told told people when I talk to them is that it's something that comes out the legislature, a bill that's being passed, and you're not sure how you're going to be affected by it or how you're going to interpret it, get a hold of the legislature, which, if it's me, and talk about it so we could find out what's wrong with the bill so it could be corrected. So these information and these mandate that's come down will actually make sense and can be implemented in the correct way or what the legislature intended it to be.
Thank you. Mr. Groh?
Preemption's one of those interesting things, right? If you look at the fact that we have a U.S. Constitution, we also have a Florida Constitution, and that Constitution is what rules the state. But then we have our counties and our cities who have rule as well. They like to call that home rule. Every once in a while, it gets a little mixed up, and it did that a couple of sessions ago where they were trying to limit the terms that a county commissioner or a school board member can serve. There's good reasons on both sides of that, but I think what needs to happen and what will happen here when I'm elected is I will be talking with my county commissioners. I'll be at the county commission meetings when I'm in town, and I'll make sure I understand what's going on. You know, the one thing that I do understand whenever we do things in Tallahassee or whenever the current legislature does things in Tallahassee, they do have an effect on the community. When we give a tax break at a state level, that removes funding at a county level. So we need to be really careful how we do that and make sure that we're not leaving our county short. So preemption's a sensitive thing. We need to make sure that we're addressing it, but I think the way we address it is we communicate with each other and understand why we do what we do.
Thank you. Well, candidates, that ends the questions. You each now have 2 minutes to sum up why the residents of Citrus County should vote for you as their representative in Tallahassee. And I'll begin with Mr. Groh.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. I appreciate the Chronicle and the editorial board having this event. I'm J.J. Groh. I'm a conservative Republican businessman. I grew up here in Citrus County. This happens to be the first theater I was ever in as a kid to watch a movie. My wife Jennifer and I have also raised 4 daughters here. I went to Citrus High School. After graduating, I went to the University of Florida, where I graduated with a degree in agricultural economics. I spent 32 years in agribusiness, the first 11 working for some large multinational companies, which was a great training ground. They sent me to several executive programs, negotiations, marketing, finance. So I learned a lot there. I came back to Citrus County, and my wife Jen and I started our own business in 2003. So I've spent the last 21 years as an employer signing the back of the checks, or actually the front of the checks. So, you know, I've got the experience. We've been very involved in our community. We sold our business in 2021. We thought what we wanted to do next, and the big thing that Jen and I both decided, and our family decided, is we wanted to do something to give back to our community. I can use my business leadership experience, my financial background experience to serve this district well and to serve the state of Florida well. There's a lot of things that are worth standing up for here in our district, in our state, in our country. Some of those are conservative beliefs, our Christian values. I believe in a strong law enforcement. I also believe in school, not just the grades and the university, but also the trades. I serve on the board of the University of Florida Foundation. I also believe in conservation. We have to do everything we can to protect the sensitive conservation in our area. As the vice chairman of the National Wild Turkey Federation, the foundation, it's one of the largest environmental conservative groups in the country overseeing conservation land on behalf of the federal government. Those are just some of the things that I want to go to Tallahassee and work on. Obviously, insurance is a big thing. Affordable housing is a big thing. I'm asking for your vote so I can go to Tallahassee and get to work on your behalf. Thank you.
Ms. Vowels?
Hi, I'm Judith Vowels, and I am the Democrat in this race. My platform from the beginning when I started this race in February was to run on affordable homeowner insurance, affordable housing, and right to clean water. That platform have not changed throughout this campaign. Affordable insurance, as we talked about earlier, is that a lot of people is making a decision to go without. When I go to Tallahassee, that's one of the first things we need to address. The second thing is affordable housing. We have a lot of residents here in Citrus County that cannot afford the rent here in Citrus County, or most places in Florida. We need to get that under control. What I've seen with affordable housing, it seems like we have to be building new housing somewhere. What I've seen in Beverly Hills, I see a lot of vacant homes that the county or the state can take over and rent those homes and rent them out to people with affordable rates. Clean water, we talked about that because we're trying to get our rivers and our streams clean. Those are the issues that I will be fighting for the resident of Citrus County. I have worked for the Florida Department of Correction for over 30 years when I retired in 2018. I'm also a veteran from the Army Reserve, 14 years. I am here in Citrus County because it's a beautiful place to live. I have a son and a granddaughter that lives here in Citrus County. I want to work for the people of Citrus County and let them know that you have someone that's looking out for you, someone that knows what it's like to work and take care of an elderly parent, to work and pick your grandchild up from school, to work here in this county and be able to afford to live in a decent home. So I'm asking for your vote on November 5th. Please remember that I'm here fighting for your best interests. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates, and good luck.
Thank you.